Hi everybody, welcome back to this week's mini-sode. It's the FFP Alignment Podcast. It's your regularly scheduled programming, and we're here, we're doing the thing. Should have thought about what I wanted to say before I started, but the only reason we're here doing this right now, you and me, is just to chat. Right? We're here to have some fun, have a little entertainment for 30 minutes while you do your steps. You know, nothing crazy. It's sometimes like when it comes to like podcasts, this is how I felt with when I was reading, when I was reading a lot back in the day. There was a period of my life where I was reading like 24 books a year. It's a lot. Well, not separate, because I would read them twice sometimes within the month, because I was also doing a book club that was about the like self-help genre, and I would read it for entertainment, and then I would reread it to take the notes and like do what, find the points that I wanted to talk about, the questions I should ask, all that stuff. I was organized. Anyway, what I describe that those types of books are, or those types of podcasts, is like eating your vegetables, right? It's fine and it's really good for you, but sometimes you just want that reality TV, right? You want trash TV, you want your little slut novels, like, man, the last time I read a little smut, right? Read something like that was when I was married. And what was it, 50 Shades of Grey. Oh my God, I think everybody's read that though. It's not like I'm sleuthing the dark corner of the bookstore for these romance novels. Although I actually, I used to do that as a kid because it was so taboo, and I wasn't allowed to like read about people kissing each other and the hair blowing in the wind and being swept off your feet and all that. But anyway, thankfully, I do not have to worry about, daydreaming like that, because my life's great. My life's good. Anyway, so yeah, we're here to be entertained solely by me. And maybe I should have some friends come on. Well, it's literally the middle of a work day, so that probably won't happen. And sometimes those like virtual interviews are not, as fun. You want to be in person, but that's just the time we're at in our lives right now. So, anywho's, life's been good. How about you? This is really strange, talking to myself. But anyway, no, life has been good. I have been on fire lately with my progress and my habits and just my overall stuff that I've been trying to accomplish, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting with my journey and how it was in the first 2 years, because I'm going on year 3. I'm currently on year 3, I believe. 20, 21, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm going on year 3. And I just, like, looking back, have just noticed, and I've yet to really put the nail on the head, like really define myself during this time and like why I was so resistant. And I didn't want to be. Why I was so resistant to the program, or the tracking, or staying within the calorie ranges, or just, you know what I mean? And we've all experienced that, but, I'd like to learn more about myself and why I was resistant when I didn't want to be. Like, what's under that? What's layering under there? It's like, the need for control. I don't want anybody to, and there's that. There's like the, the resistance because you feel like you'd be so restricted and stripped of something you love and enjoy. And I think that's a very large part of it, and something that we've all experienced, is when we first start our, little fitness journey, or calorie tracking, macro tracking journey, we often don't do it. And I was that for a very long time. And I was really nervous when I first started out because I didn't, it's everyone's worst fear to be hungry and not being able to eat, right? That's a very human thing. So that's okay. But I had to convince myself a lot that no, it's not going to be like that. It's okay to feel hungry. Food is coming later, just later. And I still sabotage myself a lot, kind of because of that, I think. But it's just interesting to look back and to see how much I resisted. And then, like I talked about last week, this new year has really just flipped a switch for me, and I just kind of like got over my bullshit and sick of it and sick of the excuses. I'm just sick of it. Like, you're doing just fine. You're eating great, bro. You're doing all the things that you want to do, dude. Like, come on. So yeah, I've been in a like self-reflective sort of mode lately, and learning some new things about myself, and just really motivated and excited for the future. Woo! Like we all should be, right? There's one thing, I don't know if y'all have listened to, last week's, the past episode, the Monday one with Deanna. I could replay that conversation 100 times over. She's my new best friend. Go back and listen to that. It's just so good. And we barely touched the surface with everything that we could talk about that's within what she does for the world, And she talked about human design. And I've had heard of it, but that was it. I just have heard of it. And I don't even remember where I heard that or heard about it, but it wasn't, got an email. It wasn't anything in depth. I had just heard of it, nothing else. And so she dove into it a little bit, describing about how it's just like your literal blueprint of who you are as a person, and it's just so magical because it's kind of astrology based. It's not, well, not based, but I mean, it's based off of the, the stars and the planets and where you were at, like when you were born and what time you were born, all that stuff. So it does sound like astrology, like let's just move on from this. And the way I look at that kind of stuff is, yeah, you could, and I have family members who are like ultra religious and spiritual and all that, and not that I'm not, but they tend to, sorry if you guys are listening. Oh, they're not. But those people that can just look at anything and just determine or decide for themselves if it's like of the devil or if it's like of God. And most things are of the devil, right? And so some people could look at like astrology like that, or human design is what we're talking about. But when I really dove into astrology and learning about human design, really solidified this, what my opinion, sorry, I hit the mic, really solidified my opinion of this, which is that there's a lot, I mean, astrology especially has been around forever. And one, it's impressive that people, and the same with the human design, who figured this out, right? How? I could see, astrologists, back, when Cleopatra was alive, and you have, like, that's your job. You study the stars and the planets and where they're at and blah, 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 and all the stuff. It's just extremely impressive that this is around. It seems so out of this world, because, like, we're going to get a little spiritual here for a second, y'all, so bear with me. Because we often, like, put God in a box, right? If you believe that he created the heavens and the earth, like, yeah, he created the heavens and the earth and the space and the stars. And that's why I definitely believe there's aliens, because, God is so much more than just what we see or what we might even believe. So the fact that, we were born at a specific time in a specific place and the planet and the stars literally aligned when we were born, and this is what it says about who we are, that, oh my God, that's beautiful. Like that, there's like some, that doesn't, I'm getting really passionate here. Nothing else sounds so magical and miracle than that, right? Like we're on this earth for a purpose, and this is what the stars have said about us, and that's just like nothing can compare to that. And that is just, think of like, it really expands my mind when I think about like the greatness and the creativity and the power of, you know, God and what all this has been created. And then that just like really kind of opens up that part of my brain, like, wow, this is like so much bigger than us. Like there's so much more out there. And anyway, oh my God, I really went down a rabbit hole, but you see what I mean? It's just so beautiful that this, you can call it all woo woo and whatnot and roll your eyes at it. But like with astrology, especially, because I know a little bit more about astrology than I do human design. Hold on, sorry. Getting distracted by work. Oh, fuck, what was I saying? Anyway, I could go on and on about it. Oh yeah, I know a little bit more about astrology than I do human design, but it is just the evidence, like there's actual evidence, I believe, I think there is, but there's just some things you just can't deny when it comes to learning about, you know, astrology and what the stars say from the moment you were born. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And like, oh, it's all subjective and it's only worded in a way that always and can apply to anybody, but it makes it sound specific to you, and you turn it in your brain to make it feel and be relevant to who you are. Like, sure, but I don't think so. Not as much as you would think. But so I learned, well, that's to say, I downloaded an app yesterday called My Human Design, and it is free. But if you really want to deep dive, and it's really easy to want to deep dive into this, but it costs like $5. So give him $5. I gave him $5, and you type in all the stuff. And let me pull it up real quick. So it obviously gives you the general, like your type, kind of like the Enneagram, and then it breaks it down from there. And so, for example, there's sections called like how you should best make decisions, and that means like, for me, mine is called emotional authority. So I need to, if I'm making a decision that could not necessarily alter my life and everything, but any kind of like big decision, I need to decide a yes or a no when I'm in a neutral emotional state, because I'll say yes to everything. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's go. I need to pause and wait till I'm more neutral. And if I still feel good about it, then let's go. Let's do it. And then the one that I really loved is 2 things. What was the other one? 3 things. Well, I loved all of it. So they talk about manifesting. And one section is called how your manifestation process and how I manifest, and mine is what they call specific. So it sounds weird, but I really, looking back and how I've achieved or gotten things in my life, it was always because I was really specific about what I thought. For example, I had always daydreamed, and at the time it was daydreaming, of living on my own in my own apartment in downtown Nashville. And I'd kind of come close a few times. I've always lived with other people, and I just always would just drive through town. Even if I was living in downtown Nashville, I would still just daydream. I just want my own apartment and just do my thing, right? I would always daydream about that. And then my roommate kicked me out of my house one time, and I was like, wow, fuck you. What do I do now? Oh, guess what? You're getting your own fucking apartment in downtown Nashville. And I was like, well, the way it happened, we could change that. But the universe like just kind of pushed me into this corner, which is how it is for me every single time. Like, Katelynn, if you want to get what you want, you're going to have to go through something really shitty. Not really shitty, but you know what I mean. Something that you don't want to happen in order to get it. And so I'd always just daydream about that. And I was like, and that's just one example. And the other thing on here was to talk about anger, which, boy, oof. And then along the lines of manifestation is how you make things happen, like my strategy and how I make it happen. And it says for me, it's informing. So talking about it, telling people about it. And like it even said in the description, like that sounds super easy, right? And I'm like, no, it's not, because it said all these things that when I am passionate about a project like this podcast, for example, it's a great example. It was an easier hump to get over because what it was saying was, yeah, it's easy to just talk about things, but for you, there's a lot of like insecurity behind it. There, in case somebody you get backlash, you get criticism, it doesn't work out, all these things. And so you just would rather, in some ways, I really am like a hermit, as much of an extrovert that I am. It says that you would, when you're trying to really make something happen, you just need to talk about it, but you need to get over these problems that you have when you talk about it. Being insecure, people are going to laugh at me, people aren't going to take it seriously, things like that. And I was so passionate about the podcast that I definitely experienced all those emotions. And there's other things, but we're talking about the podcast. I experienced all those emotions, but I got over the hump real quick because I was like, no, this has to happen. And there's ways where I could talk about it more, I could put it out there more. But just reading this stuff, really, it shows you exactly the path you are on or you're not on. Does that make sense? So one of the things in here, I don't know why I'm talking so much about this, but so one of the sections on here was your not self. So how you feel when you're doing things that aren't aligned for you. And for me, it's anger. And I could go on about that, but it's just such a great guideline that if something is causing me anger, let's go another direction. Because the opposite is true for me specifically was peace. And that section made me cry because my mom, and if you listen to last week's episode, you have heard this before, but one of the things my mom instilled into me, and I'll never forget, was to live your life according to what makes you feel at peace. And that has just carried me through so many times. I've been not at peace for various periods of my life, right? And it takes time to figure out if something is or isn't for me based on my peace. And anyway, so I was reading that. I was like, how did she know? My mother. It was just so beautiful. And so that just really got me thinking and really thinking about kind of what I first started talking about was, my past journey and kind of reflecting over my life and when I was not at peace and when I was experiencing a lot more anger than usual and just, and it's such a beautiful process. You can't give yourself a hard time. You can't criticize yourself because we're human, right? We're going to make mistakes, but that's why I loved this. So I highly recommend you download it and really dive into it. And there's little meditations on there, I think some sort of podcast format thing that you can listen to and all that stuff. But it was really beautiful. And so I highly recommend, and we're learning and we're grooving over here, and it's time probably for our Reddit corner. We got some great little questions. Let's see here. I have a handful lined up. Which ones do I want to do? All right. Yeah, we are redirecting. So it's supposed to be entertaining, right? Okay, this is along the lines of what we're talking about. So if you could call yourself 10 years ago and speak for 1 minute, what would you say? I would probably give myself the lotto numbers and be like, girl, hold out. What was it, 10 years? Yeah. Hold out for 10 more years. What, 10 years ago, I was 30. No, Jesus Christ. How old am I? 10 years ago, I was 23. Perfect. Be like, girl, you're about to go through some tough times. You'll be fine. Great. Write this down. Hold out for another 10 more years. You're going to be fucking rich. That's what I would do. Yep. No regrets. Next. What behavior is 100% a tell that someone is trashy? How do I talk about this without like being offensive? Well, one indication is just, honestly, I'm sorry, your grammar skills. Especially if you talk that way. I can't stand when people just don't talk regular. We're not going to dive into that, but you know what I mean, right? Especially with like texting. Yeah, you're going to, shorten some words, whatever. LOL. But it is obvious when someone that's how they think. Like they're normal. Like, ooh, that's a huge tell. Yeah, I was about to read some of the comments on there. Yeah, someone says littering, big one. That's very trashy. Put it in your pocket or find a trash can. Okay, next. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? Love this. We've all answered this question from the day we figured out what superpowers were, especially if you have siblings. Mine, what was it, X-Men, when that came out? I wanted to be like, what's her face, that could control pretty much everything with her mind. She had like a conglomerate of powers. She could fly. Who was it? So she had like a couple at once. So I guess that doesn't count, but she could fly. She could control things with her mind. She could read people's minds. Like, that's what I wanted when I was a kid. And as I got older, I'm like, that sounds kind of miserable. Being able to read people's thoughts, yeah, sounds super like I'm powerful, but what a burden. I don't want to hear that. So my thing was, it ended up being invisible, I think, is the one I would choose. Because yeah, you could like walk into conversations without people knowing you're there. That's the best. Yeah. Or, what I had for a while was the teletransport, right? What do you say? That guy, there's that movie about it. That'd be pretty cool. No flights, bro. No commute, dude, come on. That'd be great. Okay. Let's see here. Why does work keep distracting me? Ugh, sorry, idiots. Okay. Next, what if social media closed every day at 7 p.m. like it's a store? I think that would be great. Mental health would probably be on the rise. Like, good mental health would be on the rise. But, people would find their way around it. Next, what's one type you will never date again? Oh, how much more time do we have? How long have I been talking? I would never date that complicated melancholy type ever again. Never, because that was my type. That was who was the most attracted to me. Those are the people that would ask me out. It was really weird. And, those are generally the more intellectual types, generally. And I like that. That is attractive to me because I love having intellectual, stimulating conversations. And I'm an extrovert, right? So, of course, they're attracted to me. Like, who wouldn't be? But I will never date that melancholy, emotional, introverts. Maybe I should say introverts. But if you can't be social, like in any capacity, that's a huge, like, come on. No, I need you to have some fun around my family. I need you to be around my friends and be able to kick your feet up. Like, let's be real. Wish I learned that a lot sooner in life. Okay, 2 more, then we're done. If you could find out you are adopted right now, what's the first thing you would do or say? I'd call my twin brother and be like, what the fuck? Next. I would do that. I'd be like, bro, are we really twins? Is your birth certificate? Whose birth certificate is fake? Did you know this? Are we the adopted ones? That'd be, oh my God, you've heard those stories of people being like, whoa, you're not actually my dad. My real dad's actually my uncle. And then your world shatters. Like learning your parents' like ultra deep secrets. Oh my gosh, I could not imagine. So, all right, lastly, another dating one. What profession would keep you from dating someone? Musicians. The fantasy's there, but that's all it will be. There can be like, oh, that guy who will write the song about me, but no, they're probably way too sensitive and emotional for my liking, and not in a good way, right? You want a guy that's in tune with their emotions and sensitive, but there's a easy line they cross, and you know that they ain't loyal. The likelihood of the loyalty is like in the single digits. Like, let's be honest. And I dated one. He was a great guy though, but obviously we're still not together, right? It didn't work out. Musicians is a big one, and yeah, unemployment. That's a big one, right? I wouldn't date a guy who didn't have a job. Let's be real. But all right, that's the Reddit section of the week. And I think we're probably past our time frame because I just get to talking, guys. But anyway, come back next week because next week Lindsay and I are talking about the honeymoon phase. And no, we're not talking about that. Get your mind out of the gutter. We're talking about that honeymoon phase that we all face when we start that health and fitness journey or that project or that goal or whatever. And it's all roses and great and motivating and lovey-dovey, but then its inevitable demise comes crashing down. So we will be talking about that, and it'll be a fun conversation. But anyway, again, thanks for listening in. Say hi to me in the DMs. Hit your girl up. And until next time, peace out, everybody. Bye. Thanks for listening to the FFP Alignment Podcast. Please support us by downloading, rating, and recommending us to your friends and family. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at the FitFemme Project. That's FITFEMME Project. And for those of you looking to find their essential balance of lifestyle and fitness, book a free consult by going to thefitfemmeproject.com. That's FITFEMME Project.com and click Apply Now. Until next time, this is the FitFemme Project Alignment Podcast.